Now you can hear me, I'll bet. Bet you that probably works a whole well. Think I have a light going out. You know how I can tell? Either that or it's signaling somebody. Happy Sunday to you too, Brent. How are you this illustrious evening? I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I am really, really, really strung out and tired. I've just got way too many things going on, but I will survive and make it through. Um, Trying to figure out what. What did it try to trash here? So somewhere along the line, a couple of nights ago, my PC auto restarted because it had to update. And I don't remember what I was doing, but I have been so scatterbrained. I think I didn't save the project I was working on. So now it's freaking out trying to recover the project that I was working on, which I think I saved. I just don't remember saving it before going to bed or whatever. So, of course, whenever it restarted, it died. So you figured out a streaming channel of just Star Trek stuff. Yeah, it's trying to figure out where it was saved. Well, I think it's not where it was saved so much as did it save or not, which I think it did. It just stuck it somewhere. And part of the problem is it was out on my external, and my external tends to go to sleep and takes forever to wake up. So part of the problem is that it's waking up the external drive to tell it to get the data out so that it can put the data on here, which is fine. Slowly getting there. I can hear the external spinning up. I got a really nice, big, huge external hard drive, and it is the biggest pain in the butt has ever existed, I swear. It has a horrible habit of going to sleep. And then it has to be woken up. Oh. Hey, that's kind of cool. I see what you're saying now. Yes, an endless loop. So that someday when I'm an old man, I just sit there for the rest of my days with Star Trek just constantly rolling on the screen. And life is good. I feel like this light's dead. The only problem with the smart lights, I love the smart lights, but they're a pain to program. So when they die, like this one's dying right now, I'm going to have to undo it, then go in, plug in a new light, find it with my home thing, and then incorporate it in all 27 different light programs because it's not going to be the same one. So, all right, let's kill this light and then I'll just fix it. Well, that's cool. Oh, that'd be an interesting combination. All right, did this actually? Oh, there we go. It took it a while, but it got there. Oh, well. So did you just make a like a a, I don't know, a program that just does this? Or so like you have the hard drive and it just pulls the data randomly? Because I noticed that I loaded up um, Winamp, and Winamp ran correctly once, and then that was it. And couldn't handle it anymore. And I was like, "Meh," which sucked. Oh, there you go. That's kind of cool. So it just runs around. Yeah. Oh, there you go. You're like, there's no way to fix. There's no way to stop it. It just does it. There's nothing wrong with that. You turn it on and it just plays Star Trek. I'm okay with that. What I do is I just build like a small TV unit and just put it in the back of the small TV unit. So that'd be kind of cool in its own way. So, Merware. Yeah. That's for a later version. That's awesome. You're pretty serious about this. I mean, I appreciate it. Yeah. Okay. I just feel bad making you work so hard on something like that. I am, by the way, looking for video for work. That's why it's because in the drive safe stuff. Oh, that's new. Never had it say that before. That's cute. Said this was made in a previous version of. So I have all these videos and I'm trying to make them faster because once I did all these videos for my company, my driving school, I put them they put them into the actual they put it into the actual show or into the actual slides, and they ran really slow, like alarmingly slow. And I mean, not they didn't run slow, as in I made them slow. Sitting here working on them on my bench here was, they seemed to run at a pretty good clip and all was good. But then when you stand there in front of the kids and you're trying to, keep their attention and the thing runs 45 seconds, it's like the longest 45 seconds of my life. So I've got to go back and redo the whole thing and just make it run faster. So that's what I'm doing now. So that's what's going on here. So yeah, I'm not necessarily finding the things I'm looking for either, which makes me think I'm just having problems finding the things I'm looking for in here. Ugh. Moreover, it looks like the new animations have different bits to them. Like I've got the animations now have arrows, which I added somewhere, but forgot how I've done it. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what the heck I'm going to do here. Waiting for this light to pull it out. So here we go. All right. New bulb installed. Yeah, I hear you. Yes, I hear you. No, I'm doing work. You will have to wait. Have to wait. All right. Now we're going to try to find a new light. Yes. Wow. Okay. Well, we have to go figure out the light. Nice. Yeah, it helps a little. No, my Bluetooth was on. My Bluetooth is on. Looking for light bulbs. I hate this. This is the problem. Of course, I had a lamp, I had a app for this, but I haven't used the app in 2 years, so now I have to go re-enable the app so that then I have to reinstall the app so I can install this one light, and then I'll never use it again for another 2 years because the other apps control it. But in the meantime, they get all the access to my phone, along with some other companies, and everybody else gets access to my phone. Just one of those things that's like, really? This is the exact same app. I'm just saying. Now, let's make sure. Yeah, I'm working on it. See if it goes into device mode, pairing mode. There we go. Now it's in pairing mode. And hello. I can't read it because I've had this bright light in my face, but welcome. All right. Search, keep searching. Camera permissions, just search. It's in, yeah, I'm in club mode. So if you're wondering, since welcome to my show, my key light that usually shines directly on me decided to give up the ghost this evening. So we now have to put a new smart light in. Yep, that's me. I'm in gay club mode now. Gay club mode. There we are. Okay, I'm going to hit the manual thing because this is starting to drive me crazy. So, yeah, see. Okay, fine. No gateway. That was the whole. Okay, I swear to God, these programs are going to kill me. See if maybe. There you go. Let's just see. Aw, well, that's cool. Looks just like me, huh? That's kind of cool. Probably. But that's still cool and somewhat flattering. I mean, I presume that it's flattering. But I'm not the kind of person to do anything bad to people. So if it wasn't flattering, apologize for my. No, it's not a thermostat. Does it think that it's a thermostat? I think it's in the office. But no, I don't want it. For crying out loud. Well, then that wasn't me. See, it says that the backdrop light is still on, but and now it just gave up. That's you giving up. You shouldn't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Just keep. It's all good, man. It's all good. Now let's see what happens. Go into thinking mode. There we go. All right. At least it's a little bit better when I put the diffuser back on it. Okay. Now I have to undo this because I just added the air conditioning unit that I disabled. And the reason I have to disable the air conditioning unit, of course, is because when I say, hey, turn the air conditioning to whatever, it does not do the house's AC unit. It goes, gee, we can't figure out whether you're talking about the house's AC or the old in window AC unit that you were using up until recently, but it's still plugged in. So we just assume it's still working. And you're like, don't need it to be working. I need to find this light. So why is it not finding this light? Add a device. I do like reading. There are a number of them. While it's blinking stupidly, I will recommend this book. This is Werner Venge's Across Real Time. I highly recommend it. It's a very good book. It's one of my personal favorites. And my copy is. Dang it. Dang it. Where did he. Why is it so difficult? Why is it so hard? There we go. My copy is actually autographed by. Are you trying to be antagonistic? Is that the whole point? Is this the let's see how long it takes for me to get banned? Because I should warn you, a very important and critical thing. And that is that I'm a cultural anthropologist, and part of what I'm doing online is anthropology research. So everything that happens on these threads is getting recorded for research purposes. So if you're being antagonistic just to see if you can be antagonistic, you end up being part of um, the pool of data. Yes, my light is powered on. Fine. Yeah, there we go. That's it. I'm done. Done messing with that. And about 30 seconds from being done messing with you too. However, you're making good data for me. That's at least plus. So before you go, what makes you think that that this is an acceptable option of discussion? I'm horribly curious. I mean, you're obviously being antagonistic. You're obviously intentionally trying to get a response out of me, and so kind of curious. What makes you think that that's a thing to do? Not really. Hey, Ray. Good to see you, man. Okay. But you are, I mean, out of curiosity, are you aware that you are out of the norms for a normal conversation? That's probably our first question, because it's probably the more important one. Because if you don't know that you're out of the norms, that's probably a different thing. I'm totally going to do that. Ray, are you getting drafted? Don't get drafted, Ray. Not going to even pester me, man. Not really. Oh, every year. Every year, huh? So you get are we just in cycle for draft? Is that the story? Brent's done. Brent's over it. That's all right, Brent. I totally accept that. Thank you, Brent. I did, however, capture his data, which is good. Oh, now we're starting to do the fighty thing. That makes me think that you're feeling a little like you don't have control here because you're starting to get insulty. Oh, it's Brent. You can nail him at any time you want. Honestly, at this point in time, he'll just get madder and madder and throw more and more insults, and it won't matter. But he's patterning exactly the way he should. So he's pretty much acting like the same kind of people that I usually run into. So, oh no, banning you is just because you're not following the social rules. That's all. But it is kind of fun to see you do exactly. The truth of the matter is, people like you have been on the internet since time immemorial. So it's all good. You are who you are. And I am recording it. So to you, you are following my rules. You're totally following my rules. That's the funny part. That's the best part about this. You're on my playground, my friend. You're on my playground. So keep going. I believe you have a few more steps of insults to go here. Wow. That's a thing. I wasn't going to say it. So, what makes you so unhappy, man? What's the story? Why do you feel like you have to go out on the internet and insult people to get power? Now, that's the one where pretty sure you're lying. That one's the one I'm pretty sure you got problems with, bro. I don't think you're happy at all because you're going out and picking fights with random strangers. You don't even know me. Yeah, probably truer than anything else in that one, too. You don't need to lie to me. It's part of what do you want to call it? The benefit of the internet is that technically, hey, yap, good to see you. Oh, yeah, I'm happy. Maybe I'm sort of happy. I don't know. I'm having problems, but that's okay. Who's not, right? Especially with this light right here. But I mean, that's a thing. How you doing, Yap? Been a while since I've seen you. Hmm. Mostly because I've just been getting killed by school, so I have an inordinate number of papers and things. Yeah. Sign of neurodivergence, my friend. And probably getting old. Oh, I don't know. I was asking you. I was trying to figure out whether you feel like this makes you feel like you've got control. Mm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I've got hey Yap, I've got school too. Mhm. No, I don't necessarily have grand reasoning. But what I do have is quite a bit of school experience and life experience with people like you, so it's not a problem. Oh, Yap, I appreciate it, man. You don't need to worry about defending me. I'm just sitting here with my hand over the the band hammer on this guy. But the thing is that real quickly, and I should warn you as well. Generally speaking, when I get trolls like this on my thread, I engage them and then record the data because I'm doing ethnography on it, and so it's he's just feeding the data machine. So, and that's one of those things. The whole line since he showed up has been insult after insult after insult. So he's been trying to antagonize me the entire evening, which is actually kind of entertaining and somewhat endearing. So, oh, it's we have a troll, and I'm engaging the troll and seeing what the troll says. And I think the funniest part about this is that the aforementioned troll is seeing who flinches first. I think it's funnier that Brent just keeps timing him out. That cracks me up. The thing is that I wouldn't want to tangle with Brent. That's my whole thing. So, however, I mean, I've got a ton of data, so I don't really need to continue to engage with him. So we can just delete him if you want. In fact, I think I'll go on ahead and do that because now, or that kind of uh, desire. But it's a power game. It's the same power game that when people would do. I saw this power game with my mom, oddly, a long, long, long time ago, back in the 80s. In the 1980s, my mom had a company, and that was still we were still in an era where women shouldn't have companies in the mind's eye of some people. And since her phone number was public, people would constantly call and troll her and stuff. So well, yeah, but but here's the thing. I'm doing cultural anthropology work, and part of my work is cyberbullying and trolls. So all that individual did was feed the churn, so to speak. So I'm not that worried. And you can be insulting if you want. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I don't know that person, so shrug. Oh yeah, you did, didn't you? Look at that. Good thing I screen capped all that stuff. I just learned another lesson that I didn't know about, and that is I gotta save all that stuff before we hit the ban hammer because once you hit the ban hammer, they vanish. So That's sad. But that's okay. So that's all right. We got it. We got it under control. And I'm not that worried. It's an interesting world dealing with people who cyberbully. This is totally going into my thesis. You know it. As a side note, for those of you who come onto my stream and are lovely and pleasant, you are not part of the data. You, other than the data point of there are people who join these streams who are lovely and pleasant and happily going on and everything like that. So the messages. Um, so yep, that's part of my sad I'm having right now, which is that I'm actually not doing very good in Japanese class, which is kind of sad, and I'm kind of sad about that. And it's because my teacher and so you guys are part of the positive data. You will always be part of the positive data. You're not part of the negative data. There you go. It depends on how much you demand. How rude will you be when you demand, Ray? Ray, I've known you for a long time now. I doubt seriously you would you would ever end up in my negative data. That would be sad. Um, but yap. I'm having a problem because my teacher and I are conflicting, and not in a not like we're fighting, but she's very much very specific about certain translations. Very important person. I don't have a very important person status, which is part of the reason why Ray is making that joke, because there isn't one. There's no such thing as a VIP status. I mean, I guess I could say the three of you are VIPs because you're the people I know, and I know who you guys, well, I mean, I don't know you guys, but you're my cyber buddies, so to speak, you know? So it is what it is. Let's see here. So, right. No. Wait a minute. You guys are all VIP. Is there a VIP status? Is there some way to set VIP status? Is that a thing we can do? I can call you King Ray. Right? We're all the VIP gang. All right. I am going back through the chat. The other thing is that my Discord server records all of this stuff. So that's part of it also, is that the Discord server has been recording this data and always will. So, right? We're all going to be like all about King Ray now. There you go. King Ray. All right. So, what are we doing tonight? It'll be fine. I just need to make sure I grab the data so that it's not, I don't lose it. Twitch has VIP, huh? Yeah, it's fascinating looking back on this. Anyway, I think that's the longest that I have ever engaged with a troll before the troll gave up and left. So that was a lot of good, useful data, which I think is cool. So save as. Oh, yeah. Right. Well, active. Although, look, we got 8 of us on this stream. That's kind of cool. There's 8 out here on this stream, which is nifty. Yeah, people like watching people engage on trolls. Let's see, 2024, 1020 troll. Waves. All right, saved. Data saved. Well, yes, I think you're splitting hairs. I wasn't necessarily saying that that they gave up. I'm just saying I think this is the longest I've ever had a troll engaged. Usually they give up and leave after a while. They get tired of it. They get tired of the fight, so they get up and leave. But yeah, that's all right. That's all right. We'll get there. So we are now kind of coming up on sort of a terminal lock before I head back to Japan. I'm going to head back to Japan in December for a month, and I'll be there until January. I'm going to stay over the new year, which will be cool. I will actually be close to you, Ray. Final. I mean, not like really close, but closer than I've ever been to you in this entire time. At least closer. I'll be like only like 2 time zones over. It'd be amazing. But yeah, I'm heading over there because my best bud's got my best bud got transferred over there, and he's got an apartment with a spare room, and so I'm heading over there to the spare room and set up over there, and I'll be there for a month and looking for I have been building my other channel. My other channel is Guy Sensei, and it actually is a direct thing. I am very directly connecting with you guys. You'll get the aura. I'll be close enough. We'll be like, our auras will cross paths or something. We'll still be like thousands of miles apart, but that's still fine. We'll be quite a few, maybe, well, I guess I should say still thousands of kilometers, thousands of miles, still both the same. It's just that we will be on the same side of the planet, which will be kind of fun. So yeah, Yap, I did start another YouTube. I haven't, well, yes, I've started another YouTube channel. I'm not sure whether I actually got it squared up yet or not. Let's see. Let's see if I did it right. I'm checking it now. Yep. So it's going to be. Now, I'll warn you now, Ray. We had once had a discussion one evening about that's my YouTube at YouTube. That's the YouTube channel. There's nothing on it at the moment, I don't think, other than I've set up I don't know if I've got anything on here yet. It's all All the videos are blocked. Mostly because back in the day, before um, I couldn't get Guy Sensei. So naturally, I added 1701. If you guys are wondering what the. Yes, I will be posting on it. Um, However, as I'm warning you, if the background is red on the thing you or on the picture and the preview, you may want to steer clear of it because I'm going to start talking about things I'm seeing in culture and making a cultural assessment on it. So um, that could be perceived as potentially, hey snooter, potentially antagonizing. So the picture on my channel, by the way, that picture is entertaining. I used to do a podcast, which I still do. It's called Geek Tank, Rocky Mountain Geek Tank. But we used to go to conventions, and so we had to have like um, we had to have pictures taken of us, and I loved my picture because I look so stern. So I used it over here. Although I'm gonna probably change it because Guy Sensei is a persona, and so I have been building a persona around this character. But I just finished my first videos editing yesterday, which is sort of the setup, and there's also, by the way, an Instagram on that. Used to what? You mean Geek Tank? No, Geek Tank used to go to conventions and be more active. Now we just get together Monday nights and talk about stuff. It's got a very different world it does now. So, but yeah, the Guy Sensei channel does seem to be up and running. It's always a plus. No, 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 no. Geek Tank's not going anywhere. Hey, I'm broadcasting, it says. Always a plus. Do you guys know that Homestar Runner is still out there? I mean, I was just looking at things and I found Homestar Runner, which is kind of cool because I mean, that's I will. Brent, we've been on Monday for a very long time. All right. The other thing you guys probably should know is that there's an Instagram channel as well that goes with at Guy Sensei 1701. There's nothing on it yet either, but you should know that. Oh, Ray, Rocky Mountain Geek Tank was my first broadcast. There you go. I really want to separate Guy Sensei and GS Davis Art. I want them to be two different things. Mostly because when I start talking on Guy Sensei, there's a few things that are going to be, I'm going to be talking about topics that are uncomfortable for people. And I've seen already having interactions with people that sometimes those don't go well. And it probably has a lot to do with the fact that, um, oh, really? Those are my playlists? I probably should do something about those playlists. Those probably don't belong necessarily on here. I mean, yes, lighting tutorials and martial arts tutorials are great, but they don't fit the theme. Why do I have, are these public playlists? Do I depublic them? I guess I probably should depublic them. There we go. I'll just depublic them. It was back in, I mean, I've had this YouTube channel probably for a long line of things. So they're both the same person. However, view my channel. I just turned that playlist into. So interestingly, the sensei one is about bow kata. I love bow. Bow is the staff. All right, let's go back, and I just fixed that. Okay, so clicking it doesn't help me. I just deleted one, and then there we go. And then that way we don't have them listed. Because I also have Tai Chi on there. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to keep this channel, but this is going to be like more my pole arms are good too. Pole arms. Well, Yap, if you want the playlists, I'll give them to you. It's not private. It just doesn't fit Guy Sensei the page. That's all. It's a video tutorial and a bunch of staff playlists. They're all YouTube. All it is just other people's YouTube stuff. But since it doesn't represent cultural anthropology necessarily, it probably shouldn't be on my cultural anthropology page. So, but you are more than welcome to have them. The individual that was, oh, it's because they're from all over the place. So, what you need to do is here. We need to. You just need to. There we go. Yes. Yap with me. I appreciate you, man. I do. I really do. You don't have to. It's totally fine. Why is one unavailable video? I don't even know what that means, but okay. So this channel that I repurposed, this Guy Sensei channel, is really old. Like I've had it for, this is probably my original YouTube account, which dates back to the beginning of YouTube. Here, let's find more of a Guy Sensei picture for it. We'll find a more Guy Sensei-esque picture here. Because I've got, like I said, I'm doing a persona with this one. That's the idea. Which means that you guys have to keep my secret. Because you guys, 1701 is the registry of the Starship Enterprise. I'm joking about the secret thing. There we go. Much better. That's the way. So 1701 is, in fact, I will show you. If you take here, give it a second, it'll figure it out. There we go. That's why. Right? So the good old Starship Enterprise. So that's why 1701. If it's ever going to ask me for a number, I'm going to have to do the number thing. And if I do the number thing, it's always going to be 1701 because at least that fits my world. And so that is an acceptable thing. There we go. All right. So now I've changed the picture on Guy Sensei to the persona Guy Sensei, which should be good. Add language. The original language should be English. And I don't need channel translation. All right. And then the next thing is to set up Instagram. I love that there are a couple of is this good enough? Does this work? There we go. Let's do that. So YouTube is asking for a link to Instagram. There we go. All right. You know, Snooter, I'm not disagreeing with you on this. However, one of the things that I'm going to start doing as an anthropologist is studying the digital domain. So I kind of want a separate group out there, something that's not connected to the primary group, so that that effective anthropologist can go out and do its own work and stuff like that. This was inspired by an anthropologist that did work on Second Life and actually built an anthropologist avatar and all of those things. But one of the things about anthropology is that it's like being a doctor, in that you have to let people know you're doing the work in the zone that they're in. So you can't sneak up on them and accidentally, and secretly take notes on their stuff and, secretly do stuff. Everything has to be open and straightforward. You have to say straight up, hey, I'm an anthropologist. I'm recording everything that's going on here and stuff like that. And we haven't established that here on this channel. That's never been really established. So with Guy Sensei's channel, it is established right off the bat. Everything you do on that channel is being recorded. And so, that's why I'm like, it's all about understanding how people communicate with one another on the internet. It's all about that kind of stuff. But everything on there is recorded. So, and actually, I'm going to even say that. There we go. I'll add that to my. That's called. That actually is a real thing. Um, and I just lost the name of it, but it's a specific person effect, and it does. However, the first thing in our credo, I'm actually going to look it up right now because I wrote it on it, right? So the first thing that we all agree on when we are um, doing this work is, wow, that's a lot of notes. Is we do a thing that's just like the exact same thing as the Hippocratic Oath. And the first thing is do no harm, right? So we can't, that's the first thing is we can't do any harm, and hiding it from somebody does them harm. So you don't want to hide things from people. So it's better to know that. And Hawthorne effect is what it's called. That's called the Hawthorne effect. So the Hawthorne effect is what you're talking about, Snooter. And that is the if you're being observed, you act and behave differently. And the thought is that it's far more destructive to not let you know because it destroys your trust. And so we're willing to put up with the small amount of Hawthorne effect in order to retain the trust, because the trust is much more important. So it's better for, and so what we do is instead we adjust our data for the Hawthorne effect. You know what I mean? Like, um, usually what happens is we look for a change between the time that we say you're being observed and anything that happened before that or anything that happened after that. And obviously, we can't use the data that was before that moment has been said. However, we can use the data to see if you've changed your personality. If you start becoming a complete jerk or whatever, then we have to dismiss your information from the. There have been a number of them. We've had actually, that's one of the most interesting things about being in school is finding out how much anthropology has had to change because people were using anthropologists for the wrong reasons. I'm into anthropology for a very important reason, and that is I love people. I love cultures. I think all cultures are fascinating and interesting. I love studying people and how people operate. But I also come from the belief that most of us are trying to do the right thing in the world and trying to be good people. And even our troll tonight has a problem that he's working through, and this is his way of expressing it. And that's fine. Everybody has to. But over the years, people have used anthropologists as spies. They've used us as they've used us to corrupt and destroy cultures. Um, no, no. Well, I mean, we had a troll. I don't know if you were here for our troll this earlier tonight, or whatever babes troll that was here earlier. But he's been wiped out. So, but yeah, Necro Babes was the name of our troll tonight. We have trolls every so often. So, but the thing is that as soon as I told him that he was being recorded, boy, he got pretty visceral and very grumpy about that. I mean, like he got angrier and his statements were harsher, which I found very entertaining. But all he did was just make it More grist for the mill, you know? Yes. I am reverse trolling you by not trolling you. I can't trust him. He's not trolling us. Oh man. But yeah, we've been learning about, and there have been incidences like Vicos, which is a very famous situation where anthropologists went to, I believe it was Peru, and there was an indigenous tribe that they were working with doing normal anthropology stuff. But what they discovered was when the, oh yeah, I think there's always trolls. There's always trolls. And usually it makes for a different, I don't know. Uh the other thing about Gai Sensei though as a channel is I'm openly telling people that I am using their data, which means I don't feel bad when I do a video about a troll. You know what I mean? Like I can do a video about this troll that was here tonight because he was here and I already gave him alert that he was being watched. And it does have a certain amount of Hawthorne effect. Because obviously people who like the attention that they get from that are going to continue to try to do it, which is fine. Because really, honestly, there's a couple of things. One, I don't know if you guys know about, you probably do. I'm not sure if you guys, there's a thing going on in America where right now people are scamming the old people, specifically people who are not tech savvy, by calling them up and telling them that they have, you know, a financial problem and they need to fix this financial problem or they will be arrested and all of this stuff. um I'm totally salt mining for content. And in this instance, salt has such double meanings on this, and I love it. Anyway, um, every time they contact me and every time they call me, I keep them on the line for a long time. I lead them along and lead them on and lead them on and lead them on. Oh, I can't figure out my number. Can you help me find my account number? Where should I go? You know, that kind of stuff. And I'm leading them on. And people have asked me, why do you do that? And the reason is they're not calling somebody else. They're tied up with me. So I kind of feel the same way about trolls. Come at me, bro. I'm studying you. And as long as you're trolling me, you're not messing with somebody else. You know what I mean? Like and you can't hurt me. So it's not a big deal. You know, I don't mind. All you're doing is just becoming more information for my data mining. And so the more you give me, the more I've got data and the more data I gather. And so it works. And you're not on Snooter's channel trolling Snooter, which makes me happy. Part of this started because I follow an author, a local Colorado author, and she gets some of the worst trolling. Like the people who get onto, because they're not just like with me, they're trolling me, but with her, they're trolling her and they're misogynistic. She's an attractive young woman. She's in her 20s. And they really get on her. And she's still young enough that some of that stuff still hurts her. And so it makes me feel bad. I've met her in real life. We hang out in real life. We're because she's here, she's in the same state with me, and we often are in the same circuit. See you in a minute, Ray. And we're often in the same cycle and the same circuit. So I'm with her from time to time at conventions, and we've talked about this. And now she's gathering data for me too. And so it helps because I can do compare contrast. as to what the trolls do for me as a older male, white male, and what they do to her as a younger, attractive woman. Obviously, as an author, her face is out there. They can see her. And just like me, you can see me. And so this is interesting to me. And there's a psychology to it. You know, there's an entire like structure to this thought process. But on the same time, I don't want to drag down Kayan or any of the other artists that are with me. All of these artists are doing art. They're not doing social work. I'm doing cultural, social, culture, you know, and they're not doing cultural, social. And so it's not fair for me to drag them into this. So we'll be separating out from this. Right. It, and that works. Snooter, you're doing a service for us all. Thank you for your service, man. Appreciate it. And I mean that in an honest way. Yeah. That that's part of it. I get upset when um I need to edit this profile because it also does not say Southeast Asian culture, neurodivergent culture. Oh, I need to. It doesn't give me a lot of room down here, doesn't it? Um, and that's part of it. Like my dad got caught up in one of those once, and that's part of why I get aggravated. Um, I'm saving space here. Dang it. Trying to save space. It only lets me have 150. There we go. Yeah. I hate that. I'd call you Ray. We could sit there and chat, man. I told you. I mean, I'm totally on board with that plan. I'd totally call you. Unfortunately, I'm not there, but I'd call you, man. I would. All right. I'm going to put my first video on here. I'm going to go ahead and upload it because I've already made the video. We're just going to go on ahead and do it. I've been futzing with it and futzing with it. You know what? It's not going to get anywhere. We're never going to fix this problem. It's never. I might as well just do the things and upload the video. Yep, I've been thinking about it too, but I can't seem to shut it up. There we go. I don't like the fact that no matter what it just rolls with it. You can't not make it work that way. There we go. Shouldn't have to do that. All right. There we go. So, hey, Ray, do you have like an Alt Shift command that you can use to switch languages? Yeah. For Spanish, I'm having a real problem because I use the Alt Shift command too, but it switches always to Japanese in English mode. And I don't know how to make it stop doing that. So you have to Alt Shift and then you have to go down here again and click the thing to switch it to Kana mode. So it'll go in Japanese. So that's what I thought too. And I actually went to Microsoft, and every time I post it, their response is Japanese is just that way, and you have to expect that that's the way. And it was like things like all the Japanese do that. And I was like, I can't imagine that the Japanese by default like typing Japanese with English letters. And so it's like, I can't, you have to you just have to press on, right? What if I had well, that's I've never tried that. Never tried hooking up 2 different keyboards. I only have 1 keyboard. It doesn't matter. Japanese operates pretty much the same way as I'm sure all of you guys do when you although Japanese uses oh, it'll update after you type. I usually get so aggravated and annoyed by it that I don't ever get to the after the type part. So, oh well. Trying to hit the restream bot? I don't know. Let's see if that goes well. I didn't add any um, tags for this. Interesting. Although I have not seen a Japanese keyboard, probably the 1990s. I think that's the last time I ever saw a Japanese keyboard. Most Japanese use the American keyboard and just type as you would speak Japanese. Problem and kind of the frustration that we're running into is that when I type, I you need to use uh, the way that Japanese works. It's got all of the graphic. I'm sure there is too. I just need to be easier. I'm already frustrated, so I don't need anything to be more thing. And that's unfortunately what's right now. Why is it taking so long? Forever for me to create stuff nowadays. Like I'm creating a new post on Instagram and now I'm just swirly circle. Anyway, yeah, I mean, even in Japan, Japanese keyboards anymore. It's just easier to use an American keyboard, an English keyboard. So, but when you speak Japanese, when you they've got 3 different alphabets. Of them are phonetic, like Cyrillic and like all of the other alphabets we've been using, and then one of them is ideographic, which means that it's an icon, so the character has a meaning. And the problem, this is why I'm wondering if Ray's keyboard works differently, is that during Japanese, it's a sound poor language, fewer sounds than most of our language. And so because of that, there are a lot of words that sound the same. So when you type in the word, it gives you a little like pull down of options of which word you mean to say. It's lagging because I'm posting to Instagram. Yes, that's what I was saying. It's one ideographic. Maybe this is a bad time for me to post to Instagram. I will discard this post. There, that'll stop that from doing this. Here, I will show you what I'm talking about on this either way. Yeah, I think I'm just going to have to let it go and I'll post it over the night or something like that because clearly I was having this problem earlier today. So I will show you here. Let me show you because like this is kind of fun. I loves doing this. Do. I'll switch to. I like that it's modern. It's basically Russian with just 2 extra letters. But that's the interesting thing. What if you are in a spot where you don't have? Why are you not? What's going on here? Clear. There we go. All right. So let me show you what happens. So when you type in Japanese, this is English. Let me make sure that we have it set properly because it's obviously in pink. I don't even know what that means or why. Right? This is English. All right, no problem. Then whenever I Alt Shift, I switch to Japanese. My biggest problem is, it has decided that it's writing in English characters. So I have to go over to the IME and switch from the IME to the Japanese characters. Then, right, I can write. And when I do, it gives me the options down here of all of these different versions, which this is not a font that takes well to this. So let me switch to a font that actually understands Japanese. Because this font's not one of them. There we go. So when I write in Japanese, right, you can see I'm typing in a letter and then I type in the other letter and it changes it to the Japanese in its phonetic mode. So this literally says wa ta shi wa. So that's me, right? Watashi wa. But I can also change it to its ideographic mode. And this character just reads watashi and it means me. So just like Chinese, which this is actually the same in Chinese, this character also means I or me, but it's pronounced differently. So I don't know how the Japanese or how the Chinese pronounce it, but it means the same thing. For example, if I were to probably spell it right, right? That is China in Chinese. It's also China in Japanese, but they're pronounced two different ways. You pronounce it the way that the Chinese pronounce it, which I would assume is something close to Chin A, but I wouldn't put money on that because we often take words and run with them, and goodness knows what English translation of it is. But in Japanese, it's pronounced chugoku. The wa suffix? It's not a suffix. This is what we call a particle. And it probably would be better described as like a conjunction. So it's closer to the or and or but or closer to that, except that Japanese also has conjunctions, which just makes it confusing. Japanese is not an easy language. So, um, but the reason why I have a problem with this, of course, is that this up here was written in the wrong IME. The IME switch over here is in Japanese. It says it's in Japanese mode, but it's in Japanese mode writing in American or in English letters instead of being in Japanese mode writing in Japanese letters. And I don't know how to permanently lock it so that it never switches, because there's two options in there. I can have it do either or. Yeah, and Snooter, just for the sake of argument, this pretty much is the subject marker. So we're just saying that I am the subject of this sentence. If I were to say, Chugoku wa oki desu, right? I have made a complete sentence here. Let me erase this, right? And what I'm saying is China, and then this is the marker for China, and this is oki. No, it's just one e. Oki, which is big or large, right? China is large. And then this is the is or the, I don't know. This is this is what we call an assistant or helper verb. It's not a verb because oki, of course, is an adjective, and so there's no verb in this sentence. So they use this as an assistant verb so that there's a verb here, because otherwise there's no verb, and you just ended up with no verb. So desu is or des is usually just an assistant verb. We use it just to round out the structure, because in Japanese, the language is SOV, subject, object, verb. That's the setup. Which actually kind of makes me wonder, is what's the setup in Mongolian? Is Mongolian setup similar to the Western languages, which is subject, verb, object? Or is it set up more like the Eastern languages, which is subject, object, verb? Now I'm curious, and I don't know if Ray is still here. But see, here's the thing about you, Ray. You're also a student. And I've noticed one thing about students. When you're a student, you sort of understand that you might be the subject of somebody else's research. It's part of being a student in university. You end up getting drafted into research. Yeah, although Spanish is still considered a Romance language, so it shouldn't have the same structure as Japanese. Although I do know that Japanese has a lot of loan words from Portuguese and Spanish. You're like, we don't have genders. That's what I got. Which means you're not Germanic. So, Snooter, my subject area is typically Southeast Asia. However, with Ray here, I keep like thinking I kind of want to go into Mongolia too. Because Ray makes Mongolia sound interesting. And so now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I kind of like Mongolia. So, unfortunately, as I say right here, China is huge. So, you've got a lot to study through China. Northern China is completely different cultures than southern China, eastern and western China. There's a lot going on there. Mm-mm-mm. Pan, yeah. Which they stole straight from the Portuguese that landed on the shores in the 1600s because they didn't have bread prior to the 1600s. They didn't even really know how to make bread because they don't really have wheat. And they didn't actually have wheat until the arrival of the black ships. And so Japan didn't actually really have much in the way of bread. So the loan word is very straightforward, pan, which that's always fascinating. And then there's loan words from German, like a part-time job in Japanese is arubaito, which is Arbeit in German for a part-time job. I find that fascinating because there's loan words from German in there. And of course, a lot of the loan words in Japanese are English. Mostly because if there's any one culture that they've had the most contact with in the last 50 years, it's been America. And so they end up with a lot of American loan words. But I am starting to see a lot of other loan words showing up um, in Japanese in I want to say the last 10 years. They're starting to open up to other cultures and other languages. So there's other loan words starting to flood in. And I can't remember them off the top of my head because, as usual, it is kid stuff. And my brain is having a hard enough time just with general structure. Do you have a lot of Chinese words? I mean, you border both countries, and I think I've asked you this before. Because I know you have a cultural difference between Inner Mongolian and Outer Mongolia. Like, there's two different cultures in that group. But do you have loan words from China? Because that probably speaks more to your history as a nation than it does to your language. Um, just my thought process. Very few. That, like I said, that probably speaks more to your history. I mean, who has had the majority of the either sphere of influence? Oh. Hey, Snooter, I follow an Instagrammer and she lives in Mexico and she's Japanese. And all of her Japanese stuff is I don't understand what she says when she speaks Spanish, but when she speaks Japanese, I understand her. And it's wild. Let me see if I can't find her because her name's I want to say it's Oscar Decimos. Let me see. because she is very entertaining, and I have no idea whether can I switch? How do I switch? Dang it. Yamete. Porque me Yame. I can't look it up here because I've switched accounts, and of course I have no idea how to fix that problem. She wasn't up here in my fast feed all the way until today when I need to find her. And now she's not up here anymore. Which cracks me up because, of course, that's about right. It's almost like they intentionally make it so you can't figure out. Man, they're really making this difficult, aren't they? And she was posting quite a bit earlier. Let's see if I can just find her. There we go. Yeah, that's what her name is Asuka Decimos. So I don't know if that's interesting to you or not, but since you speak both of those languages, I just like her. She's fun. She cracks me up. She is super high energy, and I love super high energy. Oh, oh. See, I kind of dig the idea of calling yourself a llama. I'm just saying, I would totally. I'm a llama. I just spit at people a lot. Anyway, so which makes sense. Hey, Jam, that makes some sense that that's what she's doing. She's talking because she's talking in both languages. So, but it is wild to see her. Um, she actually obviously speaks three languages because she speaks English from time to time too. So clearly she has English, but she's Japanese initially. And I follow her because she's just super high energy, such wild high energy. And I love that. I mean, it's one of those you could just, you know, I'm just saying, Jan, I am all about a carriage pulled by two magical llamas. I am not going to complain about that at all. I think that's awesome. Everybody should have a carriage that's pulled by magical llamas. I'm in agreement. Magical llamas rock. All right. Anyway, we were talking about how the Microsoft IME makes me mad. Man. Microsoft IME needs to die in a fire. I'm so over Microsoft IME. We were talking about Japanese doing stuff. Redneck? Really? Well, I guess so. Yeah. I don't know. There are days where it's just a sad day. It's been a hard day or it's difficult. You know what I mean? And so sometimes it's nice to just have these people who are super high energy that you watch the video and it just makes you smile. You're like, "Hey, look at you doing the best things, being the best people." And I love watching those videos. So that's one of the reasons I follow Oscar Decimos, because I know I know it's not really like she's not helping me a whole lot because she's translating from Japanese to Spanish and I don't speak Spanish. So it didn't help me much. However, just her energy levels are great, you know. Right? Also, I think some people are I think introverts and extroverts, that term is somewhat misused. Because I know a lot of introverts that are just balls of energy and they're just so happy, but only around the three people that they, you know what I mean? Like these three people. I'm an extrovert. I'm like this to everybody. I meet people on the street and I've never met them before. And this is how I am because I am truly an extrovert. I have quite a few Chinese to English people I follow now because I am starting to follow Chinese and Korean because those are my next two languages after I fight tooth and nail with Japanese. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Conjugation is difficult. Like when we bring up stuff that I do in Japanese, like all of this these are all notes from one of my favorite YouTubers. Um, but I mean, all of this. One of the things I love about her is that she uses all these colors to identify the different pieces. Translating Chinese insults. Yes, I think I actually have seen that. Um, so in this instance, she is writing all of these characters, and up here she is writing the translations um, of the kanji, the ideographic characters. So if you don't know how to read these, you get a little stuck. But when we start learning Japanese, we're required to learn this language first, hiragana, and you have to learn it. So I can read densha ni no te iku, and I'll go by train. And that's this whole thing. This is this week's grammar thing. So we've got to get this grammar point. So I went on ahead and just captured everything. The other one's this one. These are the grammar points for this week. That's all right. Sometimes, and I think really honestly, Jan, at some point in time, you'll still remember it somewhere. It gets somewhere in your head. Like, for example, when I was very, very little, my mom and dad made sure I had a babysitter that only spoke Spanish intentionally. Like the babysitter spoke Spanish and English, but they asked her to specifically only speak Spanish. And I don't speak Spanish very much, but when I hear Spanish now, sometimes I just understand it. I know what they're saying. A lot of it has to do with the fact that Spanish and English are close as languages, so you can kind of make some educated guesses. But on the same token, you end up with um, situations where you hear it and you're like, I don't know why I know what that said or why that was said that way, but I know it. And so I think that if you were to be if you were to be in an environment where people were speaking Chinese, you might actually find you understand more than you expect. Like you'd think you would. I don't understand anything they're saying except that word right there. Oh, and that word and that phrase. You'd be like, oh, okay, I get bits of it. So I think it's just one of those things. It's like when you studied it when you were younger. And I mean, and also, who knows? You may be looking at this page, and since this is Japanese, there are Chinese characters here. And you might look at this and go, oh, hey, I know what that says, you know? Yeah. And Ray, you live in a rich part of the world where there are still aspects of old trade routes. So you end up with this really lucky place where sometimes you just end up with a lot of languages traveling through that zone. And so kind of envy you on that. In that I'm like, oh man, you're lucky. I love languages, but I live in the middle of the United States. Unfortunately, people who speak other languages tend to try to hide it here because there's a faction, a political faction here that tends to get cranky about that. See you later, Ray. Thanks for joining me. Have a good day. Study well. Oh, that's kind of cool. I think it doesn't matter what your drive is. I mean, because, I've been learning Japanese now for 30 years. I'm still not good at it, but I've been learning Japanese for 30 years. And I've switched from starting out because I liked anime. And now it's because I actually genuinely love the culture and have grown to the point where now I just love all cultures and I love people from all over the world. And I want to study everything. And I just don't have the time. I know that there's not enough time left in my life to study everything. So I will study as many people as I can until I die. And that will be what I will do. And just be friends with everybody because I love that. I love the idea of having friends all over the world. And I love the idea of people who I can talk to in different languages and stuff like that. And so, but I meet people today who are into Japanese because they want to watch anime and they feel kind of like, I know it's stupid, and I'm like, no, it's not. Whatever got you into the language is great. I meet people who want to learn English because they just want to watch TV shows. And I love that. And I'm like, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. I meet people who I have to learn English because I want to get a job in business or something like that. Oh, okay. That's also good. There's nothing wrong with that either. But yeah, Lan Chao. That's awesome. That has a completely different connotation meaning to me. Nothing bad at all. Oh, that's awesome. What was it? I had this. Because she was talking about pissing or like this, not very classy, you know, since we're speaking about it. shinbin, which is like pissing, not not going to the bathroom. So it's not the polite version of it. It means pissing. What was it that there was some video out there where they took a word and they changed one character and it turned it into penis in Japanese. And it was funny because they were showing it to people who were bilingual. And, of course, so they were all catching him off guard with it because nobody knows what it means unless you speak Japanese. So if you speak Japanese, it's the same thing. It's like what you were talking about, Jan. It's just funny. But why would you say that when you hit a pothole? The cultural anthropologist in me now wants to know, like, why would you use that word for a pothole? It seems like the weirdest of all the words you could say. Like, of all the words you could use, now that I'm thinking about that, I'm like, structurally, and I mean, even if you're going to use a vulgar part of the human anatomy, it doesn't match. I'm just saying. Anyway. Right? Like, why? That's all right. Sometimes it's stupid, and we all know it. I say stupid things too from time to time. And like, I have no idea why you would say that. Why would you say that? That doesn't even make sense. And that makes it funnier. Well, ah, and it's one of those things. Humans reply when they're startled. So, yeah, this is the grammar point we're going to have to work on this week in class. And I'm like, today I'm going to eat with my friend, then come back. So I don't need dinner. And this is a cultural point because the Japanese don't generally say go without come back. Because if you say go without coming back, it implies you're never coming back. You know what I mean? Like, so you kind of culturally have to say, yeah, I'm going to go to my friend's house. I'll be back. You have to say that. Otherwise, people are like, please come back. We like you. So it's cultural, which makes for an interesting structure. And we're going to have to talk about that this week. It's part of our grammar point. Tabete kuru kara. Yeah. 今日は友達と食べてくるから晩ご飯いらない。Right? And it's the same. I mean, do you have the same thing there? I can't read enough of that. I mean, I know you're saying the same sentence, but do you have sort of the return on that? Like, I'm going to go and come back? Does that have that sort of that loop? Or is it just go? Because in English, we don't return. You don't have to return. I'm going to my friend's house. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to my friend's house, so I don't need dinner. You don't need to say, I'm going to my friend's house, but I'll be back. Right? We don't say that. So culturally, we don't have to. Yeah. I recently, interestingly, speaking of Tourette's, there's a YouTuber that I follow that has Tourette's, and she does have the vulgar version. Um, and it's fascinating. And she's really cool. And I really like watching her videos because Tourette's is considered part of neurodivergence. So it is in the same universe with ADD, ADHD, autism. We're all in that same bucket. And it's the same parts of the brain that are affected, which makes a lot of sense. We just don't have the tics on the ADD side. The ADHD, ADD side doesn't have the tics or any of that, but we do have impulse control, and we have aphasia, and we have problems with saying things that we probably shouldn't have said. Um, it's interesting how much trouble I get in with people when I'm not on my ADD medications. I don't mean to, I just say things or speak out of turn, or you know what I mean? Like there are a number. Um, some people are just like that. I've got a buddy who's military, and not he can't even say an entire sentence without a bad word. And like he has to put the bad words in everything. Which I don't have a problem with bad words. There's no issue. I don't care. But my mom used to use them to emphasize. Like if she really wanted you to listen and pay attention, she'd use a bad word because it startled you. You never heard her say it. So, she would use a bad word for emphasis or for, real, she meant for you to hear this, you know, like, yeah, this person did this work for me and it was a real shit job. And because she said that word, you were like, whoa. But what she meant was it was not good. This was really bad. Whatever this person did was really, really bad. And I tend to do the same thing. I don't have a problem with bad words. I just don't use them unless I really want you to pay attention to what I'm saying. And then I'll fire off a bad word because I want you to listen. Um, but I don't have a problem with people who do curse. It's nothing wrong with that. I'm not religious, so none of it matters to me. It's all silly. But I'm also fascinated by the culture of it because, of course, we all choose to say bad words. And then you end up with, like we were just talking about, Snooter and I are talking about, where we're talking about people with Tourette's who they say these things in the middle of a sentence. And it is clear that that was not voluntary. Like they didn't mean to say that. They just suddenly did. It just came out, which is one of the things that I feel like I understand a lot. Like ADD, ADHD, we have those similar things where we speak before our brain says, "Oh, that's a bad idea." you know, Number of times I've said something and then my brain's like, "That's not going to land well." You know that, right? Oh, dang it. The words are already gone. There's nothing I can do. It left the station. And I never really thought of that until I saw this. Taylor Doy, right? Like a key as well. Interesting. That's also something that she was talking about, which was teiku and teikuru, which is where something goes out and something comes back. That format is in Japanese too. They've got two forms, verb forms of conjugation. specifically using go and come. Um, but what she's saying in this particular thing is you can say, you know, the lady down the street moved in. But if you say the lady down the street moved toward me, it means something different. It has a more, right. So, but yeah, right. That's what I was saying is te iku means coming towards me, towards the speaker, and, or going away from the speaker. And te kuru means coming towards me, coming towards the speaker. It is interesting that you is both te and ti. I find that interesting. 7 minutes, and then we'll be closing down the stream, just so you guys are aware. We're at the last 7 minutes of the stream, which is sad, but I got school tomorrow. So I got to get up and be a normal human. So I got to get up tomorrow and take the kid to school, and then I got to head off for linguistic anthropology. I'm sure. Yeah, somewhere along the line, I'll start learning Spanish, I'm sure. It's just that it's not in my field of research right now. I'm very attracted to Southeast Asia. That, and I think people have a calling to a part of the world sometimes. Sometimes it's your own part of the world, like you're called to this part of the world. But sometimes some of us are just have wanderlust, right? And we just can't, we're not attracted to our part of the world. We're attracted to some other part of the world. And for me, it's Southeast Asia. It started with anime. Like I was interested in anime, and that was cool. But then as it grew, I'm now interested in China, and I'm interested in Korea, and Vietnam, and all of those countries in that section of Laos, and all of those countries in that area now. Just all of them coming from that same proto-Chinese culture. And that's what I was saying to Ray, even heading up into Mongolia, even though Mongolia tends to be more mergy with Russia, it still has that proto-Chinese influence. And all of those countries are proto-Chinese. They're all from a very early version of China that's not the current China by any stretch of the imagination, just a very early version of that. And for some reason, all of those cultures really interest me. That history, those cultures, ancient history goes back thousands of years, 10,000 years of history. And Tagalog too. Just saying. Interested in your part of the world too, Jan. Might be in your neighborhood someday. We'll have coffee. Come visit with you. You and I can have coffee. We'll talk about. I'll, I'll make you explain all kinds of stuff about your language, though. You know how that goes. We will sit there. We'll be sipping coffee, and I'll be like, "But explain this verb. Explain the way this verb works. Why did they just say this? I need to know." Because of course that's always the thing. So I will always be interested in people and stuff. But yeah, someday I'll be in your neighborhood. All of that area is fascinating to me. Down into even into the there's like a line where it starts to cross into more like the southern islands culture, which is more of that the cultures that are more island culture like Hawaii and that kind of stuff. And though that is interesting to me. It doesn't seem to hit that same chime in my head. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem to hit that same note. I'm still fascinated and I want to know. Um, and I want to learn, but there gets to a point where it's like, this is cool. And, but it's like you're called to a part of the world. And I'm definitely called to specifically Southeast Asia. I am not called to the bugs. I'm just saying, the bugs and me, we don't get along. That's the only problem with Southeast Asia is so many really big bugs. And the bugs and I don't get along. I'm just saying, no, 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 no. It's worse when you get to Australia, though. The things in Australia are terrifying. I don't know what's going on in Australia, but those spiders and the bugs and you know, it's one of the reasons why I'm probably not going to visit Australia very often, even though I have buddies there. Nice. Absolutely, Jan. You and this is like I said, you and I will go get coffee and I will sit there and I will just completely, totally pick your brain on all this stuff. I'll be like, tell me about this and tell me about this. And why are they saying this? Because that stuff, I wonder why they repeat. You know what I mean? So only the first. So you're saying that you repeat only the first syllable though, because you get dri, drink, right, and sle, sleep. So it makes me wonder if like why only the first syllable? That's kind of interesting. So my class tomorrow morning is linguistic anthropology. So it's talking about language, but it's not talking about languages like Tagalog, Spanish, Japanese. It's talking about how humans communicate via noises from our mouth. You know what I mean? Like, so it's looking at it from that point of view and how we assemble languages together from what we call phonemes or sounds, phonemes or sounds, to morphemes, where we put sounds together, through to syntax, which is where we start putting words together to make meaning and all of that stuff. So it's talking about that piece. And so whenever I've been learning all of this, and now I'm like, I wonder why specifically in your language they've taken and done this morphology of taking the word and duplicating the first syllable. Oh, oh man, that is so you've got loan words from another language. However, they're following the syntax structure of the current language. Oh, that's neat. That's so cool. That's really cool. Ah, you've made my day, Jan. You've totally made my day. I'm like, oh, this is so neat. I'm gonna have to tell my professor about that because that's gonna be something she'll be so into it. My professor is so interested in interesting pieces of language like this, so she would be so into this. So I'll make sure I tell her that. You have made two people like super excited about this. I'm just saying because she will be all about this. It'll be so exciting for her too. Which reminds me, my beloved friends, we've hit midnight here, and I'm going to have to bow out for you guys. I'm sorry. Because unfortunately, I'm having way too much fun with this. This is so cool. We're talking about Spanish, we're talking about Tagalog, we're talking about all of these languages, and I love this. Unfortunately, if I don't go to bed, I'm going to be a mess tomorrow in class. And good night to you as well, or good day, as the case may be. Which we never say in English. Good day is always one of those. I guess it's good afternoon almost for you. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's another thing that's interesting. Good day in English is always such a dismissal, right? It's always, oh, good night. And that's so sweet. But good day is like, good day to you. It's a dismissal. Good afternoon's okay. Good morning is okay. But good day is like, good day. I said good day. And of course, Americans don't tend to say that at all. It's because we have to say it in British English if we ever say it. Well, good day to you, sir. Good day, I say. Yeah, we can't say because it doesn't actually exist in American English anymore. We don't even use it. So, good day. Good night, good morning, good afternoon. It's always good to see you guys. I'm really glad you guys were here. It was a good night. I'm glad we talked about this. This was wonderful. I hope to see you again. Understand that if you don't hear from me, it's just because I'm doing my homework. I've gotten swamped a lot. Yeah, John Adams, any of those, they're going to be, that's a different story. But either way, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day and a wonderful evening if you're on our side of the world. And have a good week. And I will see you guys again. And as always, keep your eyes on the stars. Good night. Bye.